Okay, so the NBA offseason is about to be over, so it's time to rank the teams. This is the East Conference.
At number 15, the Washington Wizards, who are coming off a 15-67 season. They were second last in the East last year. Their roster didn't get much better. It added Alex Sarr, but it's gearing up to be a pretty horrible roster, with the bench being probably one of the worst in the league. And the depth of the starting lineup is not very good. It's a weird roster construction. Like, they added a few older vets in the free agency, like Malcolm Brogdon and Jonas Valanciunas, but it's just going to be weird with how they're building their roster.
Yeah, they got a couple guys who are going towards the latter half of their career at this point. Just a weird sort of team setup here. Jordan Poole clearly wasn't the number one option that they thought he could maybe turn into. Kuzma's kind of just still on this team at this point.
Basically only provides scoring,
yeah.
Really.
Alex Sarr, very shaky summer league. So
yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah. Only a few bright spots going into this season. Belisle's progression is something that is definitely a bright spot going forward, but other than that, pretty bleak for the Wizards. Next up in the power ranking, the Pistons just had a 14-68 season and broke the losing record, and they weren't ranked last. So
that says something about the Wizards. Eh?
Yeah, and
they're okay. Like, the problem is, like, Cade Cunningham's be good.
Yeah,
he's probably the best player between them and the Wizards have. And then you got, like, Tobias Harris, who's been good in different places. And then you got Ausar Thompson, he's good. Like, he's young. He just needs to figure out how to shoot the ball.
Yeah.
And then drafting Ron Holland, basically the same as Ausar Thompson. Like, it's a good prospect, but does he fit in Detroit? Like, the fit for this team is pretty weird again. And that was the whole problem last year, where they couldn't space the floor for Cade. Like, it's better this year with, like, Tobias Harris, who can space the floor for the most part. And then, but, like, besides that, it's about the same problem as last year.
Yeah, they what the fuck? Wait, that's fun. Yeah, they drafted another non-shooting wing, at 5th overall again. So, kind of a weird draft.
It's not even like that. Like, it's a bad pick. Like, it's a good pick for, like, the spot.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
it's nothing on Ron Holland.
It's the problem.
He's just like someone who would have benefited being on a team with other shooters around more. Especially like this early on. He wasn't a good shooter in the G League. Wasn't like
a lot of people talk about, like, oh, you take the best player available.
Yeah,
but which makes sense. But in this spot, you drafted this pretty much the same guy last year. Yeah,
and like this is a draft class where like a lot of, like, it wasn't a big gaps in talent from like the top couple picks
it's like
on.
A weaker class,
so like
you should take the guy who fits your team the best,
like,
right? Not like, I guess you're going for the highest upside, but are you stunting both their developments with? That could be the problem.
Because even like Cade isn't that great of a shooter.
No.
Like, this team is really, it's building to be kind of weird, but
they have pieces.
Yeah, they have some decent pieces. They can make some trades along the way.
And then I don't hate the JB Bickerstaff hire. It's kind of like the same as having Monty Williams, but like, it seems like he probably would care more. Like, he turned the Cavs around.
Yeah, Monty Williams,
he gave up.
He did not want to coach that team. They just offered him $100 million, and he said, "All right." JB Bickerstaff. Hopefully,
he's okay. He helped the Cavs turn around.
Yeah.
So if you can figure that out, you have Jalen Duran, who we didn't mention. He's going to be pretty big for them.
Yeah.
So
Tobias Harris.
13, we have the Charlotte Hornets. They're coming off of a 21-61 season last year. And the main question with them is, can LaMelo Ball stay healthy? Like, if he stays healthy, the Hornets have the upside to be close to a play-in team, like competing for a play-in spot, with this Eastern Conference being pretty weak. So that's going to be a question. And how is Brandon Miller's development going to turn out this year? Hopefully he ends up being, like, takes a jump to, like, maybe like 20 points a game type of guy. And then you also have Miles Bridges, who He's basically Kyle Kuzma. You can just score, right? Like
He's Kyle Kuzma who
But-
hits people.
yeah, he's Miles Bridges is a loser.
Yeah.
But then you got like Mark Williams if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, Mark Williams, if he can stay healthy, he could be a really nice like center backing up LaMelo. Like he kind of fits what LaMelo does really well. Like a lob catching, like rim protecting center is basically like the prototype of what you would want to have around LaMelo.
Yeah, who's like one of the best passers in the league.
Yeah.
So the fit's good, and like the roster construction is pretty good with Brandon Miller, and then with Mark Williams and LaMelo Ball. But the question is, can they stay healthy? And then like I don't hate like the Tijon Salon pick wasn't bad.
Yeah, I feel like they could have taken a better, like not a better player, but someone who's less of a project at that spot.
Yeah.
Because like I feel like if LaMelo stays healthy and they had a player who was a little bit more like ready to play,
Yeah, more
they definitely could have
impactful.
made a play-in push like pretty
For
easily.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like,
now there's gonna be
now I think it's still possible they make a play-in push. Assuming like Brandon Miller takes a jump and then if LaMelo stays healthy, obviously.
but at their floor they're probably the 13th. Like
Yeah.
they're the 13th best team because like if they have the same team as like last year or LaMelo doesn't play
Yeah.
every game, their season's basically
Yeah,
done.
if LaMelo gets hurt, there's not very many other playmakers on this team, so it kind of gets tough when he is missing so many games.
Yeah.
Number 12, we got the Bulls. The Bulls are coming off a couple back-to-back strange seasons. Never really like they haven't been a team that was really obviously not competing for a championship or anything. They were teams that
We're
just
stuck in the middle, right?
stuck in the play-in.
Yeah.
Like
It doesn't really matter. Like you have a team like the Bulls who haven't been like great, and like I think their hope was that they could build a team that made the playoffs or the 4th seed a few years ago when when Lonzo played,
yeah,
and
so
then they just haven't. They've just been kind of stuck in the middle, and getting rid of DeMar DeRozan kind of helps like the tank because I think that's the direction they have to go.
It's
in.
good. It's good they gave up on trying to be that team from
Yeah, because like
2021. Like Lonzo's missed since that point. Like he hasn't come back since then. Zach LaVine has missed like a full year.
Kobe White's good.
Yeah, Kobe
if you
White.
can build around Kobe White and oh my gosh.
Buzelis.
If you can build around like Mattis Buzelis, like that could be a good building blocks, and then you have Patrick Williams who isn't really much of anything, but he's on a cheaper deal, and like there's some pieces here. It's just they need to go in a direction of where they just have to suck. Like train for Josh Giddey, like, that's not much. It's the trades. Like how much do we trust the front office to turn this team around? Because like trading probably one of the best like bench guys, like role players you could have in the league for Josh Giddey. Who?
Yeah.
What's your hope for him?
Josh Giddey and no picks.
Yeah, from the team who has the most picks in the league.
Yeah, it was they kind of made some strange moves. I think it was a good decision for them to like let DeMar go. There was I mean, I think more DeMar was like I'm out, but less than they let him go. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Like I think for sure, like they just need to go in that direction to where they want to lose games. Like for the Pistons and Wizards and Hornets, like maybe the Wizards are tanking, but like, the Pistons and the Hornets, they're not really trying to lose as many games as possible.
At this point, the Pistons and Hornets, I feel they should stop going for the under 20 win seasons at this point. Like at this point, they've been tanking for like a while. They should at this point it should be the upturn of
and you take your guys who you've been drafting and you build around now, and then hopefully eventually you get good enough and then make a trade for another star with one of those guys with Cade and LaMelo.
Yeah,
and like Jalen Duran, who's good in Detroit. So like the Bulls just need to get in that direction where hey, we don't have we have Kobe White, and imagine we get Cooper Flag next year.
Yeah, like this is a good draft coming up. So I mean, like Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, VJ Edgecombe, all those guys. Like those are all players the Bulls would like obviously love to have.
And you could build around those guys. Like you could that could be a roster you build around. Like Josh Giddey, like maybe he's something. Like, the problem with Josh Giddey is
he's their future All-Star.
Well, no, but the problem with Josh Giddey is like he doesn't play defense. He doesn't shoot.
No, there's some other problems with Josh Giddey too.
Well, yeah,
but
yeah,
Josh Giddey. I don't know what All-Star potential they like Ceenan. I'm like,
Like, are you just saying he's Lonzo Ball? Because like, he's not.
yeah, like, I don't, yeah.
Is that your hope? He's Lonzo? Because he's not.
I still don't understand that trade, but,
Because he's not the passer, he's not the defender, he's not the shooter.
no.
He's just worse Lonzo.
Like, Josh Giddey isn't, like, bad,
No,
but, like,
he's probably a better scorer than Lonzo. Better, like, not score, but, like, better, more aggressive.
yeah. But, Josh Giddey, like, how did the Bulls not see Josh Giddey become unplayable? Like, Josh Giddey almost single-handedly lost OKC, like, the series against the Mavs.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
You throw out one guy and, like, on offense, like, now we can bring more help to SGA because,
Yeah.
Josh Giddey beats us, we'll take it. Like,
Yeah.
Like, if the Mavs are going, oh, let's go. If we can take out SGA, we'll throw an extra guy on him, and Josh Giddey beats us, all right, whatever. Because like he won't, he's not able to do that.
And obviously now, like that's not going to be a problem for Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey getting played out of the playoffs. I don't think the Bulls are going to have to worry about that at this point. But like if they see him with this all-star potential for the future, he's going to have to make big improvements on a lot of parts of his game because like you can't have a player who can become unplayable really as one of your like all-star level players if you're trying to really compete.
It also sucks to trade for Giddey because like you now just what happens to Io and because
like they already
like what, are you giving up on him right now?
Like they already had him and
pretty good.
They already had him and Kobe White. I don't get why. I really don't understand the Josh Giddey trade, especially because Caruso, you definitely could have got one or even like 2 firsts for him. Like he was someone who I feel definitely was like a high value role player. Like he was one of the highest value role players
100%.
in the league. Just like a good shooter, good decision maker, great defender.
100%. Like
getting just Josh Giddey for him, it doesn't really make sense.
It just kills me that's the team with the most picks in the league.
Yeah.
Like how do you not go? Because to me, like when you train Giddey, like you just watch him be unplayable on the floor. I would feel like he doesn't have much value at all.
Yeah, like
how did he return the best role player in the, one of the best role players in the league?
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me. But I guess the Bulls have to decide. Like we're going to rebuilding direction, and that's why they're.
Yeah, I guess they seen something in Josh Giddey that
maybe he can be good for this tank.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's why they're the 12th team in the East. Like
they decided he's the perfect tank commander.
I could see the Bulls being lower than this. I can't see. I don't think there's a world to make a play-in spot.
No.
Because I just think the Hornets have a higher upside.
Yeah.
And I think the next teams we're going to name have higher upsides.
Yeah, I think even the Pistons could end up being better than the Bulls this year.
Yeah.
I mean, also the Nets, who we're going to be talking about next, are probably going to clear house at some point and really get this tank going. But,
well, I mean, we might as well just get into it.
All right.
The Nets are the 11th team in the Eastern Conference for us, and
currently, so they're ranked 11 because currently their roster isn't too bad. I mean, it's not really anything interesting. It's like, but it's a decent roster. Obviously, Nick Claxton is probably their like, I would say like highest value or like better like best player.
He's like he's not like the most skilled player. Like Cam Thomas is definitely more skilled. Claxton's like a good player. Like, he does a lot of things well.
Claxton is like a great defender.
And he's like a good rebounder. Not a good scorer.
Yeah.
But like he doesn't need to be. And you have a guy like Cam Thomas who has been interesting last year, like where he scores a lot. He doesn't do much else, but if you can score like that, like you got a spot in the NBA. Like, you have a good spot.
He can put up 50-point games back to back to back.
But you also have games where he loses those games.
Yeah.
So that's why the Nets are probably going to be finished lower than this, but at their current spot, they're 11th.
Yeah,
because you have guys like Dennis Schroeder, who's pretty good. Like he's a fine point guard. You have Bojan Bogdanovic. She's been pretty good. You got like
they got like Cam Johnson.
Cam Johnson.
They got Dorian Finney-Smith. They got like a bunch of good like role players on this team who I feel they're definitely gonna move. And then that's when this team is really gonna not look too great. I could even see like Claxton being moved this year.
They just signed him though. That's the only problem.
Oh, so he can't.
Well, he can, but it's a 4-year, $100 million contract.
Oh, so it's big.
It's a bigger deal. $25 million. It's tough to move.
Yeah, I could see like.
But the team really needs a center.
Yeah, like
He's
If,
probably
like-
worth a lot, right? Like the team would need the center. Like,
I think I would like him on like the Pelicans.
yeah, and like the
Like-
problem is the Pelicans probably don't have much to trade besides
Yeah,
picks.
like unless they were gonna trade Ingram,
But then that's when
like yeah, Ingram. Like unless they
They're
were just
trying to
gonna
clear house.
yeah,
and,
unless
like,
they were just gonna trade Ingram. Which I mean, I don't see why the Nets would want Ingram. I don't really.
Yeah. The thing is with the Nets, like I feel like I could trust them to rebuild this team and bounce back. Like they've done it before. Where like with the D'Lo, well, you don't think so? Like, cause
I don't know. I don't know what I don't really.
them going all in like for the super team with Harden, Kyrie, KD, like that wasn't their fault. Like
No, yeah, obviously you do that every time, but like
and then like they got all the picks from Mikal Bridges back, like,
that's
and
true.
then you traded all your picks back from Houston, because Houston was trying to make that push for Harden. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I can trust this team to make smart decisions. I feel like they haven't really made any bad decisions in the last few years. Like, trading for Ben Simmons might have been a questionable one. Just
Yeah, Ben
like, at the
Simmons,
time, it wasn't horrible. It's just more like Ben Simmons' injuries have plagued his rest of his career, which sucks. Because like Ben Simmons is like a good, like he was good.
yeah.
But like I don't see a world where Ben Simmons ends up being good. Like if he stays healthy, like he could be a good defender.
Yeah,
Just-
I think Ben Simmons at this point could still end up being like a good role player in the league. He's obviously like he was such a great defender. Like,
yeah, and he's a good passer. Like,
yeah, like I still feel he could be a good defender and a good like passer, rebounder. But
he's probably just like a small ball center at this point.
yeah, he
Who comes
I
off your
don't
bench and
think
gives high
Ben.
energy.
Yeah, I think at this point Ben Simmons is never getting back to the
No, too
all-star
many
player he
injuries, too
was.
many things that killed his career.
Yeah. But Brooklyn also has like a very nice group of like picks going forward. They have obviously they just got a bunch from New York trading Mikal Bridges. They have a bunch from trading KD, Kyrie. They have a couple from like obviously New York is looking like they're going to be a little better going into the future than the Suns are. So those Suns picks might be turning out to be something good, especially like the Nets are going to have their own pick this year. They just traded back for it, but they are missing a couple of theirs in the future.
Well, yeah, because of the
Harden trade, yeah.
Which at the time, like, it makes sense. It just
Yeah.
ends up not being great. After last season, the Raptors are going to come in 10th. They kind of cleaned house last year, finishing 25 and 57.
Yeah, they definitely were trying to get that pick at a point. They lost like a bunch of games in a row towards the end of the season.
Yeah, like, they gave up. Like, we're projecting a better season going into next year.
Yeah.
And, like, you got to hope, like, Scotty Barnes can be some, like, he hasn't really took that jump, you know? Like, people thought, like, after his rookie year that he was going to be, like...
Yeah, sophomore season was a bit disappointing, but last season was definitely like an up season
Oh,
for Scotty
100%,
Barnes.
yeah. But, like, we need to see... If he's going to end up being a star, we need to see that jump.
Yeah.
Which are, maybe it's this year. Maybe it doesn't happen for Scotty Barnes, but there's a lot of other interesting things they have on this team. Like, they have R.J. Barrett, who's been good in the past. Emmanuel Quickly, who got paid so much money.
Yeah.
But you also got, like, Bruce Brown, and like, is Grady Dick something?
Yeah, Bruce Brown is probably someone who I would say is going to be getting moved soon. He doesn't really... Yeah, he doesn't really have a place on this Raptors team. A lot of just, like, decent players on this team. Like, no one really stand out outside of Scotty Barnes and RJ for the future, I would say, and Quickly.
And Quickly. And I think that's the thing. Like, this team's probably just trying to get younger.
Yeah.
It's just... And, like, it might result in a year where, hey, like, they could make a playoff spot. Like, they could make a play-in spot.
Yeah.
Or it could bottom out. And, like, you just... If, like, someone goes down and you kind of give up and you try and play for the draft next year and then trying to build it that way, that could end up happening. And you trade, like... You trade a guy like Bruce Brown. You trade a guy like Jakob Hurtle. And, like, you have other stuff. Like, Jamal Shed was cool in Houston. He might not be much, but he was cool in Houston. And, like, you have a few other guys who, like, might be okay for this team. It's just a young team who the Raptors love their wings, who can, like, play defense and are athletic. And, like, it's... Those guys have developed. Like, Scotty Barnes has been good. And let's see if, like, it works out. Like, OG got traded for a lot. Like, can a team be built off of those guys alone?
Yeah, like we seen last year, like
like Pascal Siakam got traded, like
Yeah.
a bunch of those guys who all play the same way, they keep going after.
Yeah, they let Gary Trent Jr. go.
Yeah.
He wasn't really much last
He's
year
okay.
though,
he
but
wasn't
like
great last year, but he's been okay in the past.
Yeah.
It's just like your roster is a bunch of guys who versatile guys, and like, can a team be built that way? We gotta find out. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, a traditional sense would be like, hey, we have a good point guard, good like position groups guys. Like your good guards, and you got your wings, you got your centers, and this team's more, hey, we got our wings.
yeah, like
That's basically it.
this
like,
team is really missing like a point guard. I feel like I'm assuming they're gonna be starting quickly RJ and Scotty as the 1, 2, 3 this year. And I don't know if
if like
quickly is really like up like the point guard you want as your number one point guard. He's probably more of like a 2, I would assume.
he's more like a 2, but like he can play like you don't need a true traditional point guard.
No,
quickly.
Scotty. Yeah, because Scotty's a good playmaker.
Yeah, and then you
as
also
well.
have like, but if you can get a better passer, because like there's no like true just like give him the
Yeah,
ball
yeah.
and he'll set up the offense. Like,
yeah, like Scotty's a good passer, but he doesn't really have like the shot creation or like really like scoring, I guess, ability to be like the next level
Yeah.
playmaker
like
that
quickly
they would
has
need.
that, but
Yeah, but
he
quick,
doesn't have that playmaking.
he doesn't have the playmaking ability.
So like,
yeah,
there's a bunch of pieces here. It probably just needs a better point guard.
yeah,
And then they go younger, and then that's the play. Like Jakob Hurtle should be traded, and then you hope that you can build just guys around your stars, like Scotty Barnes, and then hope quickly develops, because you paid him a lot of money. Not develop, but maybe he can become like a 20-point per game scorer, not a 17-point per game scorer.
yeah.
And
And I don't think it's too late to even give up on like RJ Barrett. Like he's only 24. He
58 from the field, 4.
Yeah, like RJ's just coming off a good Olympics. He just had he had a pretty decent year last year. He kind of seems like a little bit of a weird fit, but I think like he's not really a great shooter. Maybe Toronto's not the spot for him, but I don't think like RJ Barrett is like done as like a potential star player.
He's not a great shooter, but he shot 39% from 3 last year on like 4 attempts a game. If like he can just keep building on that shot,
Yeah.
like RJ can be a great third
Yeah.
piece on your team, and like if Scotty develops to be the one piece, and then you have Quickly, who's also good, and you just need that second guy, I think.
Yeah.
And I think, or another guy with Scotty who like, obviously they don't play alike, but like how Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are like 1A, 1B, and like
Yeah.
you just need a guy like that.
I think they really need a like shot creator on this team, like
Yeah, who
because Scotty Barnes is like kind of a weird like stiff type of game, like which is fine. He obviously makes it work, but like I think they really need someone who like down the stretch you can just give the ball to and say like, hey, go get me a bucket.
Yeah.
All right, at number 9 we got the Hawks. Hawks obviously just had the first overall pick, took Zachary Richauche. Kind of a weird team again. Trae Young, he had a decent season last year.
But the problem with Trae Young, like he's been basically a negative out there. He's so bad defensively.
Yeah, they really like.
There's parts where the Hawks are better without him.
Yeah. Like last year they had some pretty good games where it was just like the team they had in DeJounte. So like.
And then them picking to keep Trae Young, which is
Yeah.
probably the pick like you'd obviously have to make, but
Yeah.
the decision is it's gonna be tough for them. Like they're stuck in this mid tier where like your hope was, after you make a conference final, be traded for DeJounte Murray, and now we're good. But the problem was, it didn't really work out with Trae and DeJounte, and
Yeah.
you now just have to hope that Zachary Richauche can be good.
Yeah.
But even like Trae Young talked about like,
he's a role player.
He's a role
like
player,
yeah,
like-
I don't. Yeah.
it's a little scary, and like I really do want to see them use Onyeka Okongwu
as their full-time
as a
center.
full-time center.
Yeah, at this point, like I feel like they should have been doing it for a little while. At this point, like from Clint Capella, obviously he's good, but like he just doesn't have the same defensive versatility.
No, and then like
Onyeka
also
does.
like if you're the Hawks, like you have to just try and get younger and just hope that works
Yeah.
out, because like what are we doing? Like, are we just trying to be the 8th seed every year? Like, let's try and develop these guys, and if they're not guys, then let's get guys who are guys for this team, who can make this team a good playoff spot team. Like, are we just gonna be a 9 seed team every year? Is that like the hope?
Yeah, and they really just need to like get the best defenders they can around Trae Young.
Yeah, you're playing a guy who's so bad defensively.
Yeah,
just like build the defense around him.
Yeah, even like if they do get into the playoffs, or like not at this point, but like future, if they don't have really the right team around Trae Young,
they're just gonna keep attacking.
It's not gonna look too like great at this point. Like the way that playoff basketball is played a lot at this point is just hunting their worst defender every play, getting him in every action, and when it's the worst defender in the league, it's not going to look great.
No, like the problem is, even if you do sneak into a playoff spot, you're going to run into teams like that who are going to use that and just go against Trae Young the whole time.
Yeah, and like even if you do have like good defenders around him, like we've seen like the Mavs had good defenders around Luka and Kyrie, but like two like even like okay defenders, that can get torn apart in the playoffs. Like,
but to be fair, like the Mavs, it made it work until the finals.
Yeah.
Like obviously, I think the Celtics were just so dominant last year. So like it can work. Like you can make a finals.
Yeah. You can be successful, but it's definitely like hard. And if you run into a team that can like exploit you, you're probably gonna it's probably gonna be done there.
But so you just need to hope that, because at this point you're just assuming Trae Young's your guy. Like he's gonna be your guy for the next few years, and you just have to hope that it can win a championship. Like he's obviously a worse defender than Steph Curry. He's a worse player than Steph Curry. But like that's what you have to kind of hope to where he can be. Like,
yeah. If Trae Young's still young, 25, like he could still get better.
Yeah, like if he can just give 100% of defense and just try and be just at least passable. Like, Steph Curry won finals like being just a passable defender.
Yeah. That's
what you have to do, and you have to hope that Trae Young's that type of guy. And if he's not, then maybe you look into moving him at the end of this season.
Yeah, because I honestly think like it might be getting to the point where you have to question if Trae Young can be your number one guy, and like the Hawks, if he can't be the number one guy, the Hawks aren't really getting someone who can be and have him as the 2. So they might have to be looked towards moving him sooner than later.
Yeah. So in our 8th spot, we got the Miami Heat. Like, they're coming off an alright season. They made the play-in. They won 46 games. But the problem is, like, are they going to try and just keep the same roster and try and build to... They're not building anything. They're just trying to make... Like, are you hoping you make the finals again?
Yeah, like, the Heat haven't done anything in years at this point. I mean, they traded for Terry Rozier. We've seen how much that really did for them. He was bad when they traded for him. He did miss the playoffs, but... Like that team, even if they had their full roster healthy, they weren't like competing. They weren't one of the better teams in the league. Like
even if you have your runs to the finals, like what they had, like they were the clear worst team both times.
Yeah, they they never really. I feel like they never really had much of a chance in either of those finals. Obviously, 2020 more so than against the Nuggets. Against the Nuggets, they
had no chance. Yeah.
but
also in 2020, like it took Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, like
put the whole.
We've seen the picture. Jimmy Butler hunched over the fuck, like,
and it wasn't even close to enough in that series.
Yeah,
like so the thing is like, sure that you can beat on the weaker Eastern Conference. Like at that time, like obviously the Celtics weren't the Celtics.
They could just bet on the Celtics being dumb enough to beat
like,
themselves, but
that's what they did. Like when they made the finals against the Nuggets, but then like. The East is getting better to the top. Like, this isn't the same East that they made the finals in. Like this is, they're staying the same while the rest of the East is building.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. Like you can't just stay still while teams build, and I feel like that's why they haven't even re-signed Jimmy yet. There's like, you need to be there, you need to be healthy, or we're going in a different direction. Because at this point,
like they might be looking towards moving Jimmy. Obviously we've seen like some reports of that, like kind of not anything like super
but he's
concrete, but like so
you could see something like the same thing happened to Paul George this year.
Yeah,
where you go in the year and you say, "Oh, come prove this to me."
Yeah,
and then you just never work out a contract. That could definitely happen in Miami. So like, I think they have to either commit one way or the other. They can't just keep doing this. Oh, we're just going to contend with our guys. Heat culture is the way to go.
Yeah.
It's done. Like
Yeah.
What's the hope is that you beat on these weaker teams and they just get cooked in the finals.
Yeah, it was never really a recipe for success anyway. It's still not. That, like, at this point they can't just keep accepting that Jimmy Butler's not gonna play the regular season basically, and just hope the rest of the team can carry them to the play-in and then make the make the finals off that. It never was a good plan.
No.
It still isn't. They've still not made any moves that are, like, looking towards contending.
No, like, the rest of the East is trying to get better. Like,
Yeah.
even the Pacers last year getting Pascal Siakam, like, they're trying to get better.
Yeah.
Every team in this conference is trying to get better, like, at the top, and the Heat are not. They're the only team, who we're going to name, who isn't trying to get better.
Yeah, the Heat are just consistently just
Saying
we want Donovan Mitchell, but we're not going to trade anything to get him.
We want these guys, but
We want James Harden, but Tyler Hero's untouchable.
yeah,
Like that, like
sometimes you just gotta put. I think at this point your time was too late. Like you have to push your chips
at
in.
this point with Jimmy Butler, it's closed.
Yeah,
The window.
probably. Yeah.
Like
At this point, like we have them at 8, and sure they could end up somehow some way being the 6th seed, but is that the hope? Like
Yeah.
you have to and then we maybe can win a few playoff series, and then because the thing is, like, you play a team like the Celtics, you don't have a chance.
No.
And it's just like teams are better than you,
yeah,
and
like,
you're not pushing your chips in.
I don't think there are any of the like top 4 really teams in the East they would have a chance at beating.
No, not really.
So
You would need injuries to help you,
yeah.
and I just don't see it.
Yeah. All right, number 7, we got the Magic. Magic coming off a really good season last year. Really, last year is the perfect year they could have had. Like, everything basically that they could have hoped happened.
Yeah, like they're a young team. They showed that, we might be a team that you can build around and go.
Yeah.
Like we have guys like Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Suggs showed he's not a bust anymore.
Yeah,
Suggs completely changed his career around this year, and like everything that the Magic could have hoped for last year was what they got.
Yeah, Paolo took a jump. Franz didn't really take much of a jump, but
he's been good.
Yeah, he was good. He was still good last year.
We need to see the shooting improve.
Yeah, obviously, like, we seen the playoffs maybe wasn't what you hoped it to be, but like even getting into the playoffs was like a big surprise for them, and
then forcing 7 against a pretty good Cavs team, like it's a good positive growth for them, and that's kind of what they need, and that's why they got KCP, and that's a huge addition. We're projecting them being worse than last year, but it's not really a knock on them. It's just the East is getting a little better, and like I don't know if you can repeat the same success with this super young team.
Yeah, like the teams that we have ahead of them are just like better teams, I would say. But like obviously with like injury, same thing as like last year, they have potential to go up. KCP, great signing. Basically, KCP was like what they needed. They maybe just need a little bit more.
Yeah, but the shooting, if the shooting can develop for Paolo and Franz Wagner, like they could skyrocket in this. Like there's a world they could be even like a 3 seed at this point. Like if they have the same seasons last year, like they could. Like if Joel Embiid doesn't stay healthy, which is possible, and like at their floor, they're the 7th ranked team. Like I don't see a world besides injuries they finish worse than 7th.
Yeah.
So, like, at this point, I think this is their absolute floor. Is the 7th best team in the East, and, like, there's so much positives going on here. Like, the only thing is the efficiency for the guys. And you could contribute that to being, there's nothing, there's no shooting around them. Like, Franz and Paolo, there's no scoring around them.
Yeah, but I think that is definitely part of it. Like, it's going to be much tougher for them to be getting, like, Paolo's like a mid-range shot creator, really. Like that's definitely going to be a way tougher way to score and like a less efficient way to score if you don't have the shooters around you that you need.
But that's true. But also you gotta Paolo needs to take smarter shots. Also,
yeah.
Like there's some plays where he looks like he's one of the best players in the league, and then there's some possessions where he looks like awful, and like he's young, and that's gonna happen for young guys. But if he can develop into a guy who takes smarter shots, more efficient shots, this team, the sky's the limit for them.
Yeah.
Like, probably not this year, but like in the next few years, like this team could be a team that could contend if.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like you just gotta hope like KCP can be something. He can stay good. Like he's been a great role player for the last like 5 years. Like where he's been a key role player. Like early in his career, it looked like KCP was like a nothing guy.
Yeah.
And now he's becoming one of the best role players in the league. Will that stay when he gets older? I don't know.
Hopefully.
You gotta hope it does. And Jalen Suggs, if he can develop into still being one of the best defenders in the league at this point, he's probably the number one, like guard. Not number one, but he's probably a top 5 guard defender in the league. Like, and then you got Paulo who can score. You got Franz who can score. You got KCP who can shoot. Like, if the development happens for these guys, they can make it far. Like, and you also have guys like you drafted last year, like Anthony Black and Jet Howard, who obviously haven't looked good yet, but they're young and you just drafted in the first round the year prior. Like, you can hope those guys are good, and if they're not, like, you're still banking on the development that you've had with the other guys. Like Cole Anthony's been interesting at some points in his career. What is that?
Like the Magic were, I believe, the second best defense in the league last year. Like that's not gonna go anywhere. You're gonna win a lot of games based just off that. Like,
yeah, like you're not assuming they're gonna get worse, right?
Yeah, and like obviously KCP is gonna help their shooting, so the offense is gonna get better too. They're even though we have them as a lower seed than last year, this is definitely like a better team.
Yeah.
They definitely got better. Yeah, the teams around them just got better also.
Better.
Yeah.
And like the thing with them is like they got a lot better, but they're not gonna all stay healthy. Like it's a lot of older teams too. Like like the Bucks and Sixers, who we're gonna name eventually, they're old. Like this team is young and it's fun. And next season, you gotta hope that like the development happens. And if you see like Paulo and Franz and Jalen Suggs are still been good, and then like KCP's not showing any signs of regression, and you're the 7 seed, you go, okay, like that's just part of it.
Yeah.
And like if you don't see that progression, then that's gonna suck. But we're expecting the progression to keep happening because like these guys are all so young. So I think the Magic being the 7 seed isn't the worst thing to happen. It's just going to be that some growing pains.
I think the Magic could be a worse team and still have like a basically exactly what they wanted season.
Yeah.
Like I don't think the Magic are really going into this season thinking,
oh, we're making the finals.
Yeah, we're one of the best teams in the East. We're making the finals. Yeah. We're making a deep playoff push.
They're trying to build for something for the future.
For the future, yeah, and like this is definitely. I don't think there's a way that this season isn't that.
Yeah. Like you just need to see the development though. If there's like they don't see the development of Paulo, efficiency in front of shooting, like then you go, oh shoot, like this is not good. But we can only expect them to get better. They're so young.
Yeah.
At number 6, we have the Indiana Pacers, who came off of a really good season where they made the conference finals, and like you have a guy like Tyrese Haliburton who looked like he could be an MVP candidate for years to come after. Like, he got hurt, and then he looked not as good.
Yeah.
But they still made the conference finals with that. Not as good, Tyrese Haliburton. Now you have hopefully a full off season of rest.
Yeah.
And he obviously didn't play much for the Olympic team.
We
don't know
he
how
was just getting
is.
rest in Paris. But
basically. So then he has a gold medal.
Yeah.
But the problem is, like, is Tyrese Haliburton, is he the same guy as he was last year at the end of the year, or is he the guy at the start of the year?
Yeah, you hope he was the same guy from the start of the year. But even if he isn't exactly that, this team could still be good. Like, the rest of the team is great around him.
Yeah.
Good role players all around. Obviously, maybe not a good defensive team, but that's not really what they go for. They just kind of run you out of the building.
They just running gun.
And it works.
And like even like when they played the Celtics, they played them in close games. Like
even though they got swept, like every game was pretty close for the most part.
Yeah, like especially game 1 and 2, I remember being really close.
Yeah, game 1 overtime, and then game 2 they had to. Pretty sure game 2 they made like a comeback, couple minutes left of the game. It was so yeah, like in I believe only game 1 they had Tyrese Halliburton. So like even game 3 and 4 of that series, they were still close games. Like they kept it close even without him.
Yeah.
So like that just shows like this team is a good, like, well-rounded built team.
Like us projecting them 6 isn't like a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just more we need to see what version of Tyrese Halliburton we get, and if the team can be still good around him, and like it should be, and it should be it's just a question of Tyrese Halliburton, is he the MVP guy or is he just pretty good? And then there might be discussions, but at this point, like if Tyrese Halliburton is the guy he was at the start of the year, this team could crush this ranking. He's run and gun. Like the defense sucks, but if you get the matchups that are right, come playoff time, you can win a series. Like you can win a few series. Like I don't see a finals upside really, but
yeah.
I mean, like last year, if you had Halliburton healthy, like you weren't beating Boston, but
You
made
might win a
finals.
game.
Might win a game or two, and that was better than every other
Yeah.
team. Like the Mavs only won one. Like so, like they could have shown out a little more against that series, but
Yeah.
they played tight games. And if you told the Pacers last year, "Oh, you're gonna make the conference finals," you're gonna go, "That's an amazing season." And
It was, yeah.
at this point, like, if you go, "Oh, we made the playoffs, but we lost in the first round," which kind of as a 6 seed we're kind of projecting, but they can always move up, and if they lose in the first round, like, there still could be growth if Halliburton still looks like the same guy, and honestly, this team could be one of the best teams in the East. Like, I feel like a lot of these teams we've named so far, like the Magic, and the Pacers, like, specifically, like, they have room to move up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like especially with the Pacers, so, when they traded for Siakam last year, it didn't look too great. Siakam and Tyrese when they first traded for him, but like definitely towards the later end of the season, even though Tyrese had his struggles, and in the playoffs, they definitely looked like they were like playing together better, and like Siakam was more like accustomed to playing with the Pacers than he was when they first traded for him. Like, it was looking better and better as it was going. Obviously, the injuries just kind of threw that off. And then now they're going to have Benedict Mathurin coming back for missing, like, I think most of the year last year, or all of the year.
Basically all the year.
Yeah, so...
And you also have Jarris Walker, who drafted last year. And you also
Yeah.
have Miles Turner,
Yep.
who's one of the best defensive centers in the league, who can stretch the floor. And, like, this team is built really well around Halliburton. It's just a question of how good is Halliburton going to be.
Yeah.
So... I think 6 is a good spot for them. And yeah.
Yeah, I think they have potential to move up above our next team, the Cavs, and then even the 4th team, the Bucks. We'll get into the Cavs right now. The Cavs had a pretty good season last year. Darius Garland and Jared Allen missed a lot of time. So did like a lot of players, but they still ended up being pretty good.
It's still a weird fit with all these guys.
Yeah, and we seen Darius Garland said that if Donovan Mitchell is still on the team, he's going to request a trade. I don't know if that's still something happening, or...
I assume, like, the Cavs just told him, you have 4 years on your deal, and we're not trading you.
Yeah, maybe. So,
and, like, that could just be it, and you just go...
But maybe they do trade him. Maybe they could trade him to, like, the Pelicans for Ingram.
Yeah, but I don't think the Cavs would do that. Like...
Yeah.
I think it'd be more likely to be Jared Allen, but you just signed Jared Allen.
Yeah.
Which is... I like Jared Allen, the basketball player. The problem is, does he fit on this team? Does he fit with Mobley?
I feel like we've seen against the Celtics, definitely. Like, Evan Mobley probably is going to be best at being the 5. Like,
yeah.
Going, like, for the future, that's probably who you want as your 5 over, like, him being the 4, Jared Allen at the 5. Like... Mobley maybe just isn't as, like he is quick and can keep up with, like, perimeter players, but, like, it's more, like, of a advantage to have him as the 5 than as the 4.
Yeah, 100%. Like, would you rather have a guy who has, like, position versatility, like Mobley has?
Yeah. So then, you just have better, like,
versatility
across the board with him. Like, Jared Allen kind of messes that up a little bit.
Yeah, and just limits, like, what the potential is, because, like...
Yeah.
You're taking maybe one of the better defenders in the league and putting him in a different position where he can't be the guy.
Yeah, he
where
can't
your number
really,
one anchor of your defense.
Yeah,
he can't be your
he
number
can't
one
be
rim
that
protector.
he can't be that rim protector. He's not really. He won't be as much brought into, like, screens situations, especially because like other teams would much rather have Jared Allen out on the perimeter than Evan Mobley.
Yeah.
So if you had him as the 5, you don't even give them that option, it could look a lot better.
Yeah, and like you might run into a situation where Mobley is kind of just sitting in the corner, just corner watching.
Yeah.
Your other power forward, your other big, because you're just gonna sit there and say, "Oh, we're taking Mobley out of this play," and that happens sometimes. And like Mobley is such a good defender, like you want him in every single play defensively.
Yeah.
And Jared Allen kind of messes with that, and then Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, like they kind of clash a little bit too, clearly, because like Garland doesn't even want to play with him really. So like, what is going on with this roster? Like, it's interesting. Like, there's a lot of good talent. Like, this might be, like, honestly, this like they might be even higher, like on just pure talent, like 1 through 5.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're really better than the rest of the teams here because like the cohesion of this roster isn't great.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like we're just kind of seeing like I can see a world where this team finishes worse with this team and this team could be the team that finishes worse than the Magic and the Pacers.
Yeah.
But also like just
they could be better. I could see that they could be worse. Like it could come together and it could like work really well. I mean, we haven't really seen that so far, but like there has been a lot of injuries along the way. Like,
but a lot of times they look better without one of the guys there.
Yeah, like last year there was a big stretch with Donovan Mitchell and just Evan Mobley, and that was when they went on like a big winning streak. Like that looked good.
Yeah, that's the problem with Garland and Mitchell. They both can't play defense. Right? Like you come into a playoff series, just like how you're just gonna target those two guys.
Yeah, like that's just two guys immediately. You can see.
And then you also have
two small bad defenders.
And you also have Mobley, who Jared Allen, who isn't that great defense. Like he's good rim protection.
Yeah,
but he's not like switchable. He's not versatile. Like this team it's good, but as like it's kind of like the collection of parts is kind of like not. It's kind of, the collection of parts is good, but like the sum of the team is not good.
Yeah, like it's a good collection of talent. It just doesn't really mesh that well together.
No.
A lot of like overlap of their best players.
Like I feel like we're sounding negative towards the team, but they're still 5th in our Eastern.
Yeah, like they're still really good.
It's just like it could be better.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
The better roster construction, but this team's talent is undeniable. Like even like you got some wings like Karis LeVert, who's been good for parts of his career. Like he hasn't been great in Cleveland, but been good at parts in like Brooklyn and stuff, and then. Like Max Strus has been good at parts of his career. Like it's the same thing. Like these guys are good, and those guys fit better for this team. But it's just the question is, can one of Mitchell or Garland be better defensively, and can we figure out this Allen and Mobley thing? Like, can one of them become stretching the floor better? And then it's just a weird fit.
Yeah, like I think with a couple of moves, this team really could actually be in contention. Like Donovan Mitchell is like one of the best shooting guards in the NBA. Like we've seen consistently he raises his play to another level in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like that's always like you have Donovan Mitchell in a playoff series, you're always gonna have a chance to win games and win the series.
Yeah, 100%. So
number 4, we got the Bucks. Bucks had a kind of weird season last year. Obviously, they traded for Dame, and we thought that would look a lot better than it ended up looking.
Well, I mean, you got to a point where you fired your coach, right?
Yeah,
with a really good record, and you choose Doc Rivers. It's just weird, and that's the problem with Milwaukee. They just feel weird. Like you have Giannis, who is, I would say, probably he's top 3 player in the NBA, like for 100%. Like, there's a world where he's the best player in the NBA. Like, he's probably not better than Jokic, but he's probably number 2, right? And like Dame has been top 3 point guard in the league for the last 10 years. Like this year has been great.
Now he's definitely out of the top.
Yeah, 100%. But I'm saying like
Dame is still a really good player, and I think in theory, he was like a really good player to put with Giannis because like he basically makes up for what Giannis doesn't have. Like he is the like down the clutch shot creator that Giannis isn't. He's like the great 3-point shooter that Giannis isn't. But we seen last year. The defense was so bad with like obviously that isn't solely on Giannis and Dame. Giannis obviously great defender, not on him at all. Dame Dame was never going to be that good of a defender. I think last year he was even worse than like he has been before. But then like having like last year we seen like they had like Malik Beasley, like that was their point of attack defender. That should have been a sign of where that was kind of going. Brooke Lopez last year looked bad. At this point, like he's kind of too old at this point. He can't really move. It did look better last year when they went back to playing like the same defense they used to, where they could just keep Brooke and
when
drop.
Doc Rivers came in.
But
like the offense looked bad. It's weird. Like it's a tale of two seasons where you had a good a good offense and a terrible defense, and then pretty much an average switch when you started Doc Rivers. Like both sides of the ball were average.
Yeah. They did. I think they did definitely look way better with Doc Rivers, especially towards like the end of the season when they just were like playing more and more than they did like.
But the record was better with Adrian Griffin, and it was just weird. Like, I think the problem is that like you had a better record with Adrian Griffin because like you were so good offensively, it probably wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
But now you're just kind of feeling a little more average. Like we can't like make them like lower than this because you have the second best player in the world.
Yeah, like they have a really high ceiling base. Like
this team could be the second best team in the East.
Yeah,
like
Giannis and Dame could bring you like way higher than.
And you could have the same seed, or you could have the same seed as last year where you're the 6, 7. Like you could fall into like a 7 seed, and like this Giannis and Dame pairing just doesn't work for some reason, and it's just not like. It could also be the rest of the roster isn't great. Like Chris Middleton's good, but like you said, Brooke Lopez hasn't been great, showing his age. Gary Trent Jr. they got is buying low on him.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully he can.
He's a decent shooter, maybe I guess.
He's been decent in parts of his career. Like
Like he was definitely good with Portland. Toronto, it was kind of weird.
It was weird, but like
we'll see. Like
his first year in Toronto, he was okay. Like,
so hopefully he could get back to like what he was with Portland. Like obviously, Milwaukee would definitely want that. But
and then like the rest of the roster is like it's just weird. It's aging.
Yeah.
So like, your hope is this is your run. This is your year. The future here for Milwaukee is pretty bleak outside of Giannis, honestly.
Yeah, and like even we seen last year, like Giannis saying like he was going on podcasts and doing interviews and stuff, saying that like if the Bucks aren't going to be making the right moves, like he could be open to going to a different team, even though that's not someone we thought like Giannis was. Like he's saying he could be open to it. So like
if he just wants to win, right?
Yeah, like
that's all he cares about. Just go win.
Yeah.
Go win games and like.
So like if the Bucks aren't really helping.
He brought in their championship, like...
Yeah, he really,
He brought in the championship, like, it's just, like, LeBron, you say, like, oh, he left Cleveland and stuff like that, and, like at the time they hated him, and then he brought in the championship.
Yeah, I think if Giannis requested a trade, I don't think Bucks fans would really...
Go, we hate this guy. Like, you know how Pelicans fans hate Anthony Davis? Yeah. Because, like, of the, like, didn't win them anything. At this point, like, if Giannis leaves, they go... Yeah, like, the team is old. Like, I think if you requested a trade, like, this offseason, you'd go, wait.
Yeah, like, if they had another not great season, like, didn't look great, maybe they had to fire Doc Rivers or something, and he requested a trade, or, like, saying, like, this is, like, the last season before, like, I'm done with this. Like,
yeah, 100%.
I don't think it would be that, like, crazy or, like, that big of a surprise, even, really.
No, 100%. 100%, like...
Yeah.
Going to this, I think you can give one more year, and... This year, that's why we're having fourth, and like, we gotta hope that they can be this spot, like, and if like the 4 seed, and Giannis goes, oh, we may won a series or two, like, oh, this could be the team. Like, this is the year that you have to prove to Giannis he should stay in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then you could get a rule where you have to trade him, and you could get an absolute haul for Giannis.
Oh yeah.
It'd probably be the most amount of picks traded.
Yeah.
Like the most, like this might be, it would be the biggest deal maybe ever.
Yeah.
So that could happen, and then at that point you trade Dame as well, and then you could look at this team as going from one of the worst futures in the league to one of the better futures. Or you could also contend this year with Giannis.
Yeah, there's definitely a world where like this they do figure it out. I mean, obviously the defense might still look a little weird. They haven't really fixed any of the problems. Obviously, just Doc Rivers changing how they were playing defense fixed some of the problems. But like Dame's still not a good perimeter defender. You lost whatever Malik Beasley was.
Yeah, and like...
Chris Middleton getting older. Giannis obviously is going to be one of the best defenders in the NBA. But like now, Brook Lopez, get him on a switch, he's like a statue. Like,
But yeah, and that's gonna be the point. Like, Giannis is also like another point. In Giannis, like he's almost 30 now.
yeah,
Like come December, he's 30, and
like this is really where like Giannis at this point,
and especially for a guy who's not a great shooter, like
he might not have that long
to wait around for Boston
yeah,
to
like
turn
once
this around.
and like yeah, like once his like athleticism drops some, he might not be in the NBA that much longer, which is just the thing that happens when you're not a shooter really. But like I don't think Giannis is gonna want to wait around forever.
Yeah, so I think this is like the make or break year for Milwaukee,
Yeah.
and you hope that honestly 4's too low for him, or this thing kind of just bottoms out a little bit, and you hope to trade. Like the worst thing that could happen is like what I said. You are the 4 seed where we have him ranked, and you win like one playoff series, and you go.
Yeah, you lose in the second round.
You lose in the second round, you go, wow, like what are we gonna do?
Yeah, like
And Giannis says, "Oh, let's stay," and then like Dame, they try and figure it out. For if they figure like if they fall in the spot where they're a 4 seed and you win a round, and everything is just stays the same, this team might be cooked like in the next year. And like next year when we do a power ranking, like this team might be lower, even with a guy like Giannis.
Yeah, like
so this is a make or break season for him.
Yeah, it honestly could even be a world that like there are like the teams below them could just get better. Like the Pacers could just be better this year. Yeah, like just some of the teams could just take jumps. Like the Pacers could take a jump. The Magic maybe could even take a jump. Like they were a lot of the teams were all like super close in the standings last year. Even the 8th seed Heat were only 3 games worse than the Bucks. So like there is a lot of room to move around. Some of it there has made a little bit of separation this year, but like I don't think the Bucks is one of the teams that has like
made that clear.
made like a separation.
Like I think there's there's going to be a clear top 3.
Yeah,
and I think that's going to be everyone's top 3.
Yeah,
that's going to be the 3 teams we're going to name next. And I think outside of that, like you could see a jump from the Magic, you could see the jump from the Pacers, the Cavs, and this Bucks team could finish as a 7 seed.
Yeah, it's possible. Like especially with some injuries, like
if Giannis doesn't play the whole year or something, like, or Dame misses some time, and like this team could be not like great.
Yeah, like we have them as the 4 spot. They are definitely not like a locked in as the 4 spot at all. They could be way lower.
They could also jump into that clear top 3 tier. And
like if
be in that group, like I think like if you were to place money on it, like life on the line, I think you'd be most confident in the Bucks being the team that jumps to that 4 seed that gets home court advantage between the Cavs, the Magic, and the Pacers. You would go, that's the team, but it's not a confident thing. It's more like
you would more just bet on it's Giannis and Dame,
and like you gotta hope like it's basically like honestly like 25% for all those teams to make the 4 seed, and like maybe like the Bucks maybe like are more like 35%. The Magic are more like 20%, and then like the Cavs are like 25 and 20. It's like that type of thing.
Yeah,
you could see something like that, but you could also see something where the Bucks just are better than the teams we're gonna name. Like I think we need to be clear. Like the Celtics are the best team in the league, and it's not close. Yeah. And I think the Knicks are in the same spot, but injuries happen. Like. They could be better than the.
They could be better. Yeah, they could be better than like the Sixers, who we have as 3rd. Like it could just be like a thing where like Joel's getting injured.
That's the thing.
Paul George getting injured. Like those are 2 pretty injury-prone players for their whole career. It could go bad, but like it could look good too.
Yeah. Also, like for Joel Embiid, right? Like he looked like the MVP going.
Oh yeah.
Until he got hurt, like he looked like, oh, this guy's unstoppable.
Yeah. He was averaging like 35 almost a game.
Yeah,
before he got hurt. So.
And then you also add a guy like Paul George, who's like might be like aging. He might be showing his age, but he's still one of the best 2-way players.
Oh yeah. And them now having him as their like 3rd option is like perfect spot for Paul George. Like, there's really not like a better 3rd option you really could have.
No. And then like Tyrese Maxey, like. He's shown like that he can be this scorer and this creator with the ball, and like Joel Embiid's not like a creator with the ball near as Paul George really, but like Joel Embiid gets his own in the post with his foul baiting also. Joel Embiid's kind of a bum,
Yeah.
but like his style of play doesn't really lead to playoff basketball.
No, but we seen last year like Maxey was a playoff riser, so that was like something that was definitely good to see because obviously Embiid is questionable. Paul George
power.
questionable.
Yeah,
also.
both guys have like been lower on.
But Maxey had them. Like they were in that series with the Knicks for sure, and the Knicks were, I think, a better team.
Yeah, 100%. And then like even if you have guys who are you have Maxey's a playoff riser, and then like Embiid and Paul George are probably playoff fallers, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that even if Maxey's like your creator and stuff, like these guys, this is a great 3-man trio.
Yeah, and even outside of them, they still have Kelly Oubre on the team. They signed Caleb Martin, who Caleb Martin has shown to be someone who is a playoff riser with the Heat also.
Yeah, and then you also drafted Jared McCain. You have you have a few guys, like even you got Reggie Jackson, who could be a good point guard off your bench, and like you still have so many. Like, Drummond's shown he's a good backup big.
Yeah. Drummond is definitely someone who is like a good backup for Embiid. Like he obviously Drummond isn't really that much of like a crazy impact player, but Embiid goes out and you bring in someone who is like obviously crazy rebounding like machine. That's like hard to deal with for like a backup big. Like that's definitely an advantage there.
And you still have a vet in Kyle Lowry who like he's not really much at this point in his career, but like, that guy's gonna want to win another championship, and like he won't be.
They have a chance.
He's like another coach out there, basically.
Yeah.
And he has the experience, and this team is like perfectly set up. And you also got
Celtics legend Gershon Yabusele.
Yeah, he's also like he had a show like. He had a good Olympics.
Yeah, he had a good gold medal game on dunking on LeBron.
Yeah, he's also never shown he's been a good NBA player.
Hey,
but dunked on LeBron.
That's the Giannis stopper.
Oh my god.
But 76ers definitely look better than they did last year. I like them drafting Jared McCain. He good decent sized point guard. He's honestly kind of like a role player point guard, basically, which is like good to have with Embiid. Like he was a great shooter at Duke. He was like a great like spot up shooter. He's not much of like a shot creator really, but that's fine.
That's why I think coming in the NBA, he's gonna fit more as like a 2 guard.
Yeah,
he's not gonna really be a point guard there. Yeah. But that's he just probably can't create his own as much.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Like you can just off your bench, you have a good combo guard.
Yeah. The Sixers don't need him to be a creator. They have like Tyrese Maxey, Paul George, Embiid, I guess.
Well, yeah, he's not the same type of creator.
Yeah.
But Joel Embiid gets his own, you know.
Yeah, and even Joel Embiid last year definitely was a much improved playmaker. Like with Nick Nurse, he was definitely like he definitely was more like a complex offensive player than he has been before. Yeah. Even in the playoffs, Joel Embiid finally had like a really good like playoff series against the Knicks.
100%.
He did get like hurt kind of, but like he was playing. He played great in those games.
The good thing for also if you're Sixers, like the Sixers, you also have probably the second best coach, probably the third best coach.
Yeah, one of the best coaches.
Probably the third best coach in the East, behind Spoelstra and Joe Mazzulla probably. And then he's like you have Nick Nurse, who's probably in that type of tier, who has proven in playoff series with the Raptors that like there's not anyone who can out chess match them.
Yeah. Like if you're going up against Nick Nurse, it's like you're
playing a chess match the whole time, and like you have a coach and you have one of the most talented teams in the league. Like you saw at the Raptors, like you can go win a championship.
Yeah, like I think honestly, whatever the conference final ends up being, I think it's going to be absolute cinema.
100%.
Even if it's Sixers, Knicks, that could be a great series. Like that's just a repeat of what we had in the first round. That was a great series.
Like if one of those teams pull off an upset against the Celtics, like they might be like maybe unless someone on the Celtics got hurt, but like have, like that's gonna be a crazy playoff series. Like round 2 of this Eastern Conference could be crazy.
Oh also. yeah. Like round 2 is gonna be basically I would assume like a battle between Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Sixers.
Yeah.
Even the first round is going to be crazy. Like the first round was pretty crazy last year, I guess too. But like we could have like a good 8th seed team basically.
Yeah.
Like
The East, like, is clearly, like, the worst conference.
yeah, but they've gotten much better.
But they
like,
got much.
Yeah,
the talent across the league has been
Yeah, the
really
East-
good. Like,
the
problem
East
with
just
is,
isn't-
like, at the bottom it dies.
yeah, it's just not as deep at all. There, it just once you get past even like the play-in teams, it falls off. Like, not even the play-in, like the teams that make the playoffs. After the top 8, it's
Yeah, like
drop. But
like you end up after the Heat, like you go, ooh,
Yeah.
the Hawks, like the Raptors, like these teams, like in the West, they're gonna be one of the
yeah,
worst
like the
teams.
West, there's
they're-
there's 50 or like 500 teams outside the play-in. Like
Yeah, and I think the West, like there's probably 13 good teams in the West.
Yeah.
To the East, there's 8, but there's also in the East, you might have
the best
the,
team,
the best team,
the best two. You might have the best two teams. Yeah.
and then you also have you might have 2 teams. You might have 4 teams in your top 6, 7-ish.
Yeah, you could. I would even argue maybe you have 3 of the top 4 teams.
Yeah, 100%.
So like yeah.
So
All right, number 2 we got the Knicks. Knicks last year had a great year. Jalen Brunson obviously showed he was that like next level star. Julius Randle was not their guy. He showed that last year. They made great moves this offseason. I think them trading for Mikal Bridges was obviously the perfect move. Obviously everyone was saying that, so then all the Nova boys were together,
Yeah.
but
you
it
get
was-
OG last year.
yeah, OG obviously like that might be one of the 2 best like defending wings
Yeah.
of like all time. Like I seen like numbers on the board was like talking about that.
Oh yeah.
Um
But the other thing is like when we talk about the Heat, like they waited too long with this core, and like
yeah,
the Knicks
the Knicks got right into it.
We're pushing all our
Yeah.
chips in, and like no, it doesn't always work because of course like
Yeah.
only one team win a championship every year, but you have to do it. You saw like Brunson be like an MVP caliber type player.
Yep. And then was even like better in the
Yeah.
playoffs. Like he was like unstoppable in the playoffs.
Yeah, and then you got guys like you have OG still there, who you just traded for. Like they've been trying to make moves for the last like to build around this Brunson like hypercharged.
Yeah, and like
supernova.
they've made great moves to build around him. Like they've made basically the perfect moves. Obviously, the sucks losing Isaiah Hartenstein. There wasn't really anything they could do about that. They just couldn't.
sign that money.
match the money. But like, I still think there's a good like way to pivot from that. You don't really need Julius Randle at this point. I don't think.
No, probably not.
Like, they maybe they don't have the size you would want if you're just having like Brunson, like DiVincenzo, and then like you would have Mikal and OG. Maybe that's not the size you would want, but like
No, but
trading.
you have Hart coming off your bench too is a great.
Yeah, and he's like a great rebounder,
Yeah.
great defender. He's not that tall, but he's like big.
Yeah, but the question mark I would say for this roster is, like, after losing Hartenstein, like, can Mitchell Robinson be your starting center?
Yeah,
Because
and
what you're saying is you trade Randall for a starting center probably, right?
yeah,
But let's say that deal, like, because like, if I'm a team who's trading away a starting center, how much do I want Julius Randle? Probably not
Yeah.
much, right? So,
maybe he's the 4 the Cavs need.
yeah, but you just try down to that deal. Like, I feel like
Yeah,
you do
yeah,
that
yeah.
thinking Allen's your guy.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe, like,
Maybe it would be like a mid-season move they would have to make.
yeah, and there's like a big that opens
Yeah.
up, and like maybe a team is trying to. I just don't know what the deal is with Randall, right? Like,
Yeah.
because like you don't have picks to trade anymore, really.
No, yeah.
So the question is like, can you trade Randall for a starting level big? And I don't know if you can.
Yeah, and Randall's spot on this team is kind of just like weird. Like the last time Randall was really like playing, he was like the 1A with Brunson.
Yeah.
And then when he went out, Brunson obviously like elevated way above that.
Yeah. So the
So like,
question
but
is like,
what is he gonna think now? Isn't he just gonna accept now that he's the like? But now he's maybe even the number 3 option behind like Mikal.
yeah, and he's just not really great without the ball, really.
Yeah.
So it's just weird how like this front court comes together, and that's the only question mark I have with this team. Like outside of that, like they have like 5 or 6 guys who fit perfectly, and then you just have to ask the question: is Randall fit here, or is Mitchell? And if Mitchell Robinson's healthy, like he's shown he can be a good defender.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not a question mark at your big spot, and you have Randall like it might be crazy, but you might have Randall come off your bench.
Yeah,
Like,
like
playing
that,
non-Brunson
that
minutes.
could work because, like, honestly, Brunson and Randall, you both want them with the ball in their hands. Like, that's how they're
Yeah.
both most going to be, like, most effective. Neither of them are really great off-ball players or even, like, good on-ball players.
Yeah.
Like, Brunson, or, Randall, I mean, not really, like, a great defender either. So, like, maybe he would be a good, like, six-man for them, and that could even be, like, a crazy, like, player to come off the bench. Maybe Julius Randle doesn't want that, though, so...
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think if you're Julius Randle, then you go, we have a team that could go win a championship. Like, you go,
Yeah.
Josh Hart starts because he's a good defender. Like, he's your four because he's a good
Yeah.
defender and he doesn't need the ball.
Yeah,
And then
but-
you got Randall coming off your bench, like, just playing the non-Brunson minutes. Not all of them, but he plays, like,
Yeah.
let's say Brunson plays 33 minutes a night. Randall
Wow.
gets... Well, yeah, with
Tom Thibodeau, he's playing 40.
Yeah, but
46.
I'm saying, come regular season,
Yeah.
he plays like 33. Randall gets 15 of those minutes at the clear time, and then like Randall can also spend probably about 12 minutes as your starting as your center.
Yeah.
And now you have 15 minutes of Randall being your creator, 12 minutes of him being your center. Like, come playoff time, there might be a world where he loses minutes. He loses playing time.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Randall is a pretty big question mark, right?
Yeah. I think it's another question mark, this team, too. How of, like, deep can a Tom Thibodeau coach team really go? Because you're playing all your starters, like, heavy minutes all season and all playoffs. It wears down eventually. Like, we seen it last year. Even though they went pretty deep, like, they went Game 7 in the second round.
The whole
The
team.
whole team, yeah, the whole team was gone. Like,
So, like, can he do... That's a good question, actually.
Yeah,
It's
like...
Can a team who plays this much minutes survive a regular season and then survive a few rounds?
Yeah, but I also think it's tough because I think Tom Thibodeau is important as the coach of this team, but just, like, him playing them all the minutes is just something that if he, like, went away from that, that could be, like, a...
Yeah,
like,
but he's just never been like that. It's just been, like, a guy who's like, hey, we ride our
Yeah.
guys, and that...
And maybe they're deep enough where it doesn't matter,
as
but,
much.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, because, like, if Brunson doesn't survive a playoff, you can't win. And like, with these guys, like,
Yeah,
if
like
any of them get hurt, like, it's gonna be so hard to beat the
Oh, yeah.
Celtics, beat the Sixers, even get out of the first round with, like, if you have injuries.
Oh yeah,
right?
like if they didn't even have Brunson, it would be a question
Yeah.
mark if they could even get out of the first round.
Yeah, and then, or if you lose, like, OG and, like, Mikal Bridges, for his whole career. has
Oh
been-
yeah, obviously Iron Man.
Yeah,
to
so-
the max, but
So maybe that's a perfect fit for Thibodeau then?
yeah, basically a guy
But
who will never not
You also
play.
can't play guys 40
Yeah.
minutes a night
Yeah.
and expect them, oh, yeah, we can do this.
Yeah,
For
especially
over 100 games in a season, right? You're like 82 in the regular season, and then if you want to make a deep playoff run, you might play an extra 22 games.
yeah, like especially like OG and Mitchell Robinson. Those are both heavily injury prone guys. Even Julius Randle to a extent. Even though we were just saying like maybe his future isn't with this team. Like
100%. And Brunson's shown he got injured last year.
yeah.
There's been injury concerns with a bunch of these guys, and like that.
It's
just
always
happens.
been a Thibodeau
Yeah.
thing. Like the players, the players just get injured.
Yeah, because
Who knows how? But
that's just how it is with Thibodeau, and like that's our question mark isn't really Tom Thibodeau being a bad coach.
oh yeah, no. It's just does the minutes.
Mess with like how
Yeah.
healthy this team stays, because that's gonna be the question coming this Eastern Conference. It's gonna just come down to that.
Yeah,
Who's the
yeah.
healthiest.
A lot of this is gonna come down to just health.
Because like all these teams are so close. Like I think like you have like a tier gap between the Sixers and Knicks, and then the Celtics. There's a tier
Yeah.
gap between the Knicks and Sixers, and then you have another tier gap.
Yeah, but I think honestly the gap between the Celtics and Knicks is probably smaller than between the Sixers and Knicks. I think if everyone's fully healthy.
I would say so. That
I think
too,
the Knicks match up really well with the Celtics.
Yeah, that's
like they have maybe the two best like wing defenders to put on the two best wings that the Celtics like have. Obviously, like that's gonna be tough.
But then like the problem with the Knicks,
If they can even make it that far to where they would be
Yeah.
playing the Celtics,
or
it's
but like you run into like a line against Kristaps.
yeah,
in
Chris
it.
Tapps might. eat them.
He might eat them.
They're a little small, but
yeah, and if Mitchell Robinson, who's never stayed healthy, can't stay healthy, like
yeah, no Hartenstein, like
so like we might as well get into the Celtics. Like, they're number one.
They're just probably going for the
least fun team to talk about because like they're the same team as last year and they just ran through the league.
Yeah. Hopefully they go for the repeat. But,
well, yeah, you as a Celtics fan.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Like, obviously, it's not a biased thing having them first in the East.
Yeah,
they're more just like,
yeah.
How do you stop them? Like a healthy Celtics team, it might be impossible to stop.
Yeah, but I mean, there's honestly a world where the Celtics aren't the first seed in the East this year because Kristaps is gonna miss the first like 25-ish games, I think, of the regular season. Al Horford's old as hell. Luke Cornett's ass.
Yeah.
So like they don't really have that much center depth. So without Kristaps missing a bunch of the year, if Al Horford gets hurt even, like it could get a little bit rough, but obviously by playoff time they would be back too.
Yeah, but you're also saying like it's hard to say a team with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and Derek White and Drew Holiday is going to be bad. Rough stretch.
For sure.
Like you might be like, oh, your rough stretches.
The rough stretch
is 19-7.
Yeah, they might be the second seed to open the year. That might be the rough stretch. But
yeah, your rough stretch is you might not win 30 games in your last 40. Oh no, like you win 27 out of your last 40.
Yeah,
like that's your rough stretch in Boston. But like the thing is, like Kristaps who won't play at the start of the year, and then you lose another guy on top of that. That might be a problem.
Yeah. But
that's gonna be. I don't think we can just go, oh, like injuries are gonna happen. Like it didn't happen last year, but they're gonna happen this year. And like, I think that's unfair. I think that's like a bad way to look at it. Is like, oh, teams are only preying on injury, and that's kind of how the rest of the East has to be. They have to be preying on the Celtics' injury. Because the Knicks pushed all their chips in the middle, and I like that. And so the Sixers with Paul George, like a bunch of teams are trying to.
A lot of teams are going all in, but it honestly might be a point where that's just not enough.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy, but.
Well, yeah, it is crazy. And
it's
crazy like that. Like a team, like you push all in, and like this team is just as dominant as like the Warriors when they had like maybe not as good as the Warriors of KD, but like this team is just as dominant as like those teams have been. Like with their net rating was like one of the best of all time.
For like individual season, like basically they were like as dominant. There was a 14-game gap between them and the Knicks. Yeah, like that's insane.
Yeah, like this team was one of the most dominant teams we've ever seen.
Yeah, obviously they're probably not as talented as the Warriors. No, but
but like they were more dominant than the Nuggets.
Yeah,
they were more dominant than like the Lakers when they won the championship, more dominant than the Raptors. Like, this is besides the KD Warriors, this might be the most dominant team, maybe since the Heat.
Yeah,
like probably since then.
Yeah.
So this team is like the scariest team ever. Like not ever, but like going into a year.
Oh yeah.
Like, cause like, if you were like the Warriors with KD that like in 2017, 2018, every other team in the league go, you're fucked.
Yeah.
This year you hope, and like it's just the most scary roster you could run into in the modern NBA. Outside, like you couldn't do a KD Warriors nowadays with this. Salary cap works like, and the fact that
from that perspective, like there's probably with the second apron and all that, there's probably not really a better team you can build.
No, and a team that fits this well too.
Yeah, like they basically everyone fits together perfectly, and Joe Mazzulla plays like maybe not the perfect way to like maximize everyone, but it's a way that works, and it's kind of like it's pretty hard to stop. Like
your only hope is we might miss shots tonight.
Yeah, but we've even seen that in the playoffs. Like you might win a game from that, but it's not going to happen enough where you're going to win a series from that, or even really maybe even come close to winning a series from that. No. To summarize our list, number 15 we had the Wizards. They moved down a spot from last year. Pistons 14 went up one spot. They just switched with the Wizards. Hornets 13, same spot they were in last year. Bulls, big drop off. They fell down 3 spots, obviously losing DeMar. The Nets are still at 11 for right now. They definitely have potential to be worse. Raptors moved up 2 spots from last year. Just Scotty Barnes progression, team overall just like playing more together with their new coach, and then as well as the teams below them just getting worse. Hawks 9, same sort of thing. The teams below them just getting worse. Heat haven't made an improvement in years, still in the same spot. Magic dropped just because teams above them were better. Pacers, same spot. Cavs, same spot. Bucks just dropped by 1. 76ers, they were just bad last year because of Embiid's injury. They went way up now, of course, Paul George. And then Knicks and Celtics still in the same spot.
All right, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.
Yeah.